Am I still, okay,
There you
am
go.
I now able to speak?
Yes.
Please speak. Now we can hear you loud and clear.
I think Meg raised a very good question, and I think that we deserve an answer. Why can't we get something in writing memorialized like anybody does that deals with the law and understands people can say one thing today and they can't hold them to it. And as a neighbor, I just want to have something written saying they won't change this to do something outdoors and have amplified sound. And I think that's just reasonable and makes good sense, because otherwise it's just words. And like Meg said, they could promise whatever they want, but we can't hold them to anything if they change their mind and they hold an outdoor event with sound. And that is something we find unacceptable, period, end of story. I think Meg has a very valid point. I think that it has to be memorialized like anything else that happens in a sound way. This is not the way you do business, by verbal, just promises without anything written. I just find it to be.
Excuse me. I can only handle the redundant statements for so many minutes, given that it's already 8 p.m. And I know you guys came into this call with a bit of a mission around this, but you cannot just say the same thing over and over and over and expect people to just
ignore it either.
The other thing is that it is not right to sit here tonight and say that there is just words and people's words against words and all this stuff. I just want to say personally, as a neighbor, this is a business that's been around here for a long time and went through this with you guys specifically 4 years ago. We were all in the exact same setting, same stuff. And as far as I'm concerned, and I know there are tens of people who agree with me, that they have done a great job being a neighborhood business. It is run by a family and they've been great neighbors. And I don't want to hear it being said on the call that I control that it's just, they're just blabbing and it's just words and we need an agreement, all this stuff. That doesn't even go into the enforceability of these agreements, which we've had long debates about and which many people are dubious about.
Todd, why can't they agree to it? And then why can't they agree to it?
M&S, I don't know who M&S is specifically, and I want to have a more reasonable conversation with you about
No, Todd, you're dominating this call and you are telling us you're protecting the owners, and you're not. All we want to hear is why can't they put it in writing? How do we know they're not going to go back? Greg, do you have, please respond, Greg.
I would urge this community group, in consideration of the near neighbors, to support that proviso. It does not impair anything that they say they want to do. And since their counsel says they would include it, I think the approval should include it. That way, there's no issue, there's no worry down the pike when Todd's no longer chair and I'm no longer here and Steve Kish is my age in 10 years or whatever. If somebody has a concern then, and maybe your clients have sold the business, which they don't intend to do, and somebody else buys it, whatever, down the pike, the near neighbors will be protected. And if things change, you can always come back. And I appreciate, Gregory, you're saying you would agree to that proviso, and I don't see one good reason not to have it.
I think it's important to say that this group heard from this applicant about 4 years ago, and I am not shilling for them. I've been doing this a long time, and I take umbrage at anyone saying that to me. And this is a volunteer position also, so it's an absurd comment. And
Todd, who said that? Who said that?
We didn't say that. Todd, we didn't say that. It was definitely not us. Promise.
I'm sorry.
Nobody said that. You're making it up.
Just going to finish my comment.
Making it up.
And
specifically accused of protecting the applicant.
And it's really important for people to understand that when I started doing this, one of the reasons I did is because this community and this RCO had a terrible reputation with applicants and businesses. And over the years, we've attempted to be reasonable and tamp that down. And it's astonishing to me that basically we're in a status quo discussion, same folks, same faces, same applicant 4 years later when they've been awesome. We are starved for great businesses.
He's
Okay,
new to
okay.
Zoom, so.
Okay, I am now able to speak. Can I just ask you one question, Todd? I'm very happy with everything that I've heard. I'm happy about this business. I think they do a good job. I'm very happy with everything. I have no complaints whatsoever. The only thing that I ask you is they've made an offer to put this in writing that they'll hold no amplified outdoor events. Why are you not just saying, fine, let's do that. It's not hurting anything and everything, you just move ahead with the understanding they will put that in a writing and we'll all be happy and we'll all say fine to them getting the variance they need. All that we're asking for as neighbors is to have this proviso in writing saying that they will hold no outdoor musical events.
I'm not saying I'm opposed to it. I need to.
They offered it. They've offered it. Why are you opposed to it? It doesn't hurt you. It doesn't hurt the community.
I'm not opposed to it. I can answer your question.
Why do you look a gift horse in the mouth when we as neighbors benefit from it and you are blocking our benefit by you just being so stubborn about this?
I can answer you if you let me. It is up to them if they are willing to propose a proviso.
They are. They already said so.
I'm sorry, can I finish? What I imagine happening is perhaps not the quick path that you think it is, because we have been down this road before, Mega and I actually. So I'm happy to discuss it with them. And I think that it will work, but I'm not unwilling to force them to make a commitment tonight.
They've offered it. They've already offered a commitment.
I think there
why are you not saying fine, do it and move on?
I'm approximately going to save that, but I am unwilling to have them undergo tedious rounds of rewriting at that rush to their RCO date and create tons of complications.
All they have to do is put in a writing that they'll hold no outdoor musical events. That's no big deal. I've done thousands of contracts. I've done memorandums of understanding. I've done tons of these things. It takes 10 minutes. It's a short writing and they just sign it and that's it.
I'm going to talk
It's
to them.
not the big deal that you make it out to be. You are just looking. Why are you not looking out for the people on Schoolhouse Lane when it's not costing anybody anything and they've offered to do it? And it helps the neighbors and it helps them and it ends this whole process of us bickering for no reason.
I don't
They've
think
offered it. Just
Todd, make it a proviso of our support. End of story.
I will
Just make it a proviso that we support this subject to that condition.
I am going to talk to them
You
after the
already offered
meeting,
it.
and then I will reach out to you two specifically.
Thank you very much, Todd. Thanks a lot.
And I know, Todd, you have said to me, well, who's going to enforce it? I'm not going to, meaning you weren't going to. Other people will who follow us, all of us, in the future who may benefit from having that in place to protect them. That is the purpose of writings. They outlive the people who write them.
They memorialize what
Guys,
we're
we've
talking about,
discussed
and
this.
that's what we need.
We've discussed this a great deal over many applications.
Yes, and you don't agree with because you told me you don't want to be the one to have to enforce it. Well, I am asking you, that's what you told me.
Myself, thank you. And it's situational dependent, and I'm unwilling to force.
Well, you're not.
I'm
Okay,
unwilling
then I'll vote against it.
tonight to force a business down that path. and I think they offered, and I think we're going to get there. And I just want to have a day or two to confer with them.
How is this forcing them? They already offered
They
it.
volunteered. They
Todd,
volunteered.
I 100% agree, and I respect your
It's not
position. Thank you.
representing the,
Thank you. I just want to, I've said it over and over. I don't want to be redundant too. Does anyone else who hasn't spoken
You
have
will
any
do what you
questions or
intend to
comments?
do, and you do not have any interest in what the neighbors' concerns are, Todd. You've made it abundantly clear. Thank you all very much. I hope that we will be able to get this straightened out before your hearing. I am not going to hang around anymore because I find that Todd's position in the face of your offer is unreasonable. And he may get the votes to pass it because he won't listen to an amendment. So he's going to craft it the way he wants to because he seems to think that he's totally in charge without listening to the neighbors. And I will put that on the record and have put it on the record. And thank you very much for your attention. I really
think that's very
appreciate your
fair, May.
understanding.
Let's move on.
Let's move on. Goodbye.
Let's move on.
Anyone else have any questions or comments?
Yes, I don't understand. Your home value is not affected by this. My home value is.
Can we not revisit this again? Todd, thank you.
I think we
It's just-
litigated this.
I want to revisit this because I want it to happen. And I don't want Todd to stop it from happening because he's immune from this, because he's not next door to them, and his home value is not going to go down if they violate this and they start doing anything outside with noise.
I think you've made your position very clear.
Yes,
Thank you.
and I'm glad I have. And
Anyone
I
else?
want it enforced, and I want Todd to make sure this happens.
Even I'll just be really blunt. I have had situations like I thought I described this. It's amazing I have to do this again, but here we are. We have had the applicants agree to a proviso in this setting, and then the discussions and the drafting and the language and the negotiations has dragged on beyond what is reasonable for anyone. And I'm unwilling to commit to it in this setting with a business during COVID. Like I told you, I think we'll get there. The proviso is a public document. It is attached to their variance. It is as enforceable as it gets. Meg is incorrect when she speaks for me, but I am hesitant to say to them that we are going to do that with Meg negotiating with them, because I have seen what happens when people agree to that. And it is not a quick path, and it can also be very difficult for everyone. And I'm not willing to be part of such a mean-spirited conversation that has happened years and years of it. So I also just I have to speak up. Sorry.
They've offered to do something, and they've been good about it, and you refuse their offer. You're the one that's making this difficult. You're being difficult. I know what difficult people are, and you're a difficult person. And I'm glad that you're leaving this job, because I think that you don't know what you're doing. You're a lousy.
You're out of line, sir. You are out of line.
Goodbye.
It's not a job, Stephen. It's not a job. Good Lord.
Yeah, if it's a
All right.
job,
Anyone else? Anyone else have any other commentary, ideas, comments?